What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are checking out Podcasting Business School, the show where I teach podcasters how to love their show like a hobby and build it like a business. In this podcast audit episode, I've got my pod pal Jasmine from the Shots of Serenity podcast, and we're going to dig in about all things podcast growth, monetization, audience engagement, wherever we need to go to level Jasmine up. That's where we're going to go. So, Jasmine, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
All right. So let's start off with a little bit of goal setting. Let's say we're having a conversation like this about 6 months from today, and everything's going really, really well at that time. Kind of paint that picture for me.
Yeah. So about 6 months from today, I would like to be working on or already have a consistent community to provide offerings to engage in organically, as well as, I guess, what that comes with a higher audience reach, so more downloads, and be able to translate the information that I provide from my podcast into my other services and offerings. So utilizing it as a tool, but also a navigation to other things that I provide.
Yeah. Yeah. So build an engaged listener base, grow
Mm-hmm.
that a little bit, and use that as what I call a community client bridge. So there's relationship building happening where these people go, you know what? The content is awesome. I think Jasmine is my person that I need to hire to guide me through the next stage of my journey. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, beautifully said.
Okay. All right. Good. We're on the right path here. So
Mhm.
there are a couple low-hanging fruit things I think we could adjust just off of my base scan of the information that you filled out for me. Took a look at your feed and your podcast description and things like that. I think when we look at the name of your show and SEO, there may be a small tweak that we could, what I call a title extension, that could really help. Because with Shots of Serenity, like my podcast naming rules, one of my 3 rules is that when you read it, I want to know what it's about and who it's for without any other explanation. So I don't feel like we can check that box. And then I need a keyword and some sort of identifying term. So I
Okay.
think with a slight title extension, so not a title change, but just an extension to the title, I think we could do all those things.
Okay.
So looking at your description and your host, which I think is really well done, like you got keywords in there. It describes all the things that I want described. Boom, it's in there. So I would take a little slice of that and extend the title, because the title's the most powerful SEO tool that we have. The
Mm-hmm.
words that are in there, if we don't have a keyword that somebody's putting in Apple Podcast, we're not getting natural organic growth. And to get to that 6-month goal that you're shooting for, let's get that easy stuff, that those people that just search a certain word and like, oh my gosh, Jasmine is my person. I gotta go check out this show. So based off of what you have in your podcast description, I came up with this title extension. So we've got the Shots of Serenity podcast, helping Black and Brown communities explore self-improvement, mindfulness, and meditation. So with this extension of the title, it says what it's about and who it's for. And we've got 3 great keywords in self-improvement, mindfulness, and meditation. Those are the exact words that people are putting into Apple Podcast, that are putting it into Spotify. And if you really are targeting serving Black and Brown communities, then when somebody that fits that description searches mindfulness and they see your show that says this is who it's for, and like you got a beautiful picture of yourself on there. I love how big the text is on your art. So all well done. All of a sudden they're going to go, you know what? I need to check this one out first, because it sounds like it's specifically for me. And that way you don't get looped into all the other meditation, all the other mindfulness stuff, but we're able to kind of use those as attractor beams for you to find your right fit audience and for them to find you, if that makes sense. Is that
Mm-hmm.
helpful?
Yeah, definitely. I listen to your show, so all of the things are, you know, where it's at because of your assistance.
Well,
So I make
I,
sure
I
I
was I was
apply.
hopeful for that. I was like, wow, she's got a really good host description. I love the art. I love the text in the art. I kind of was mentally, I didn't want to say it, but I'm like, I bet she listens to the show. They're like telltale signs. So with this
Mhm.
little extension, like this is something like with your overall branding and when you are talking about the show, just call it the Shots of Serenity. Like don't change any of that. All you do
Mhm.
is just add those words to the end of the title line wherever you host. And I really think
Mhm.
it's going to make a giant difference because these keywords will make you pull up, which is great because nobody,
Yeah.
when we look at Shots of Serenity, just those three words individually, people might put serenity in a podcast search, but I feel like mindfulness, meditation, like those words are definitely self-improvement. I mean, those are three of the biggest search terms in the entire podcasting universe. So
Mhm.
I really feel good about that. How's that feeling for you?
Yeah, it feels really good, especially because, again, since I listened to your podcast, I was fearful of, oh my God, what am I going to change my title to? I've been, it's about to be 3 years and I've been committed to the
Yeah.
title. And I was trying to figure out what extension would be good. And, you did your thing and this is beautiful.
Okay.
I'm
Good.
going to take it and run with it.
Good. I'm glad that we're aligned with that because I feel
Mhm.
really good about it too. And it's sometimes people are like yourself, like you've been doing this for 3 years. You're nervous about any sort of little shift like that. But this is a little shift that 99% of your listener base won't even realize is happening because it's just, it'll show up in the podcast player. But, if they're already subscribed to the show, they're not going, well, what the heck's going on here?
Mhm.
And these are all words that they should realize that and kind of resonate with anyway. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, okay, we can check that box there. Now I'm interested in your offerings.
Mhm.
So what are we doing if somebody's like, I want to hire Jasmine? What do we have available, or what are you planning to have available?
So I'm planning to have some individual sound bowl and meditation offerings. Right now, starting off virtually, as well as like some virtual groups and in-person groups. So I'm in the Orlando area,
Okay.
so trying to find a nice nature scenic space where we can do sound baths as well as like some journal reflections. So kind of just like extending a little bit of what I do on the podcast in other wellness spaces.
Okay, cool. Have you connected with Katie Kremitzos with the Women's Meditation Network at all? I'm going to connect you because my goodness, she has, I think, 200 million downloads or something crazy like that for her meditation podcast for women, and she's in Orlando. So let's make that connection happen. That would just be a great collaboration opportunity there. So
Yes, thank you.
yeah. So I think with your offerings, so you've got individual and group. Now with the individual, is that more like customized?
Mm-hmm.
I've had clients before that are in like the recovery space from like
Mm-hmm.
people that are dealing with alcoholism and things like that, and they'll do customized meditations for that. Okay, so it's customized stuff. That comes at a higher price point too. So I like that. Any customization, any individual attention like that, that is coming at a little higher ticket. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
good thing. Okay, so I think something that we need to look at when we talked about building that community client bridge. So as these new keywords start to pull in your very specific ideal listener,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to look for opportunities to kind of level up your expert positioning, but also start building potential client relationships. What do you think about the type of episode that we're doing here today? Do you think that's possible for your brand, for you to pull like a listener on and be like, what are we dealing with right now? And here are some tools that I would recommend to help you with your self-improvement journey. I mean, do you feel like that's a thing that we could potentially do as far as content creation opportunity?
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I was actually thinking about that. I'm just trying to find my balance because I'm also a therapist. So we're not doing therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so definitely will be open to considering kind of taking that hat off and, like you said, like coaching and figure out what those boundaries are. But I think that's a beautiful idea. I was thinking about having like a something similar, but that doesn't feel invasive. So I
Yeah.
didn't want, because I know some apprehensions could be, okay, well, I'm putting my life out here. So I think that'll be a great idea, and just me formulating like confidentiality and all those other thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that you are a therapist as well, because this always comes up with
Mm-hmm.
people that are in your space with like, I'm not doing podcast therapy here. Like that's not what we're doing. So I think the key to this is kind of keeping it top level, action step based, and self improvement journey based. So like it's kind of, if you kind of look at the overall format of how I run this, first thing that we did was set a goal. So you can
Mm-hmm.
ask somebody, all right, you know, as far as your self improvement journey goes, 6 months from now, if things are going really, really well, what does that look like and feel like for you?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're like, well, I've improved my relationship with my spouse, and I've lost 20 pounds, and whatever. And then you're like, all right, we need to get them really to focus in on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can either go with, if you could achieve one of these goals as soon as possible, which one would you want to focus on? So that's more of like a positive focus
Mm-hmm.
point. Or you could go, what's the number one thing that you feel like is keeping you from hitting these goals, that's keeping you from making progress?
Mm-hmm.
I tend to go that route, but it's in the therapy space. You're gonna have to make a kind of in-game call on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so either way, then you have that one focus point, whether they give you the number one goal they want to focus on or the number one roadblock. And that's when you bring out your toolkit and be like, okay, so I really think journaling is the
Mm-hmm.
first action step that I would recommend. Have you ever done journaling before? Get their background on journaling. And then, okay, let's do a little journaling 101. Here's how I want you to get started. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not, you know, dealing with past trauma and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, what's the goal? What's the barrier, or what's the focus point?
Mm-hmm.
Here's Jasmine's bag of tools and tricks. And here's the one thing that I really want you to dial in on, and just give them one. So I know
Yeah.
you've got all sorts of things, because really you just want to give them one focus point, one appetizer. And if they're like, wow, this was really great, they're probably going to be like, okay, this group thing that you do, tell me more about that,
Mm-hmm.
because this sounds like I need some guidance. I need a community, and I need a leader of that community. So I like the flow of that. How's that sounding to you so far?
Yeah, it sounds really great. Honestly, I didn't have too much expectations, but this is beautiful, and I just want to thank you for your offerings because it's very insightful and
Well,
affirming.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that we're building the confidence here. We're getting our
Yeah.
mojo rolling here. So what this type of session will do is it positions you as an expert, which
Mhm.
is always good. It brings a listener onto the show, which is always good. Like,
Mhm.
regardless if they want to pay you $1 million or pay you $0, doesn't matter. Just those
Mhm.
two things: great content, expert positioning, and you showcase the listener. That's worth your time for sure. This is going to be really, really good content for your show. But like I said, some of these people will be like, hey, I really think you're my person, and I need to know how the heck I can work with you. Like that, those conversations will naturally start to pop up. I just got an email from my client, Diana, and she has just started to do coaching style episodes. And I love getting emails like this. She's like, yo, these things really work. I just signed a 5-figure client that we just did a coaching episode. And she's like, I need to hire you. And she's like, this was the easiest sale I've ever made because I didn't even have to try. I was like, yes.
Mhm.
So those situations will pop up.
Mhm.
It's, you know, certain people have different ratios of how, like, if they do 10 coaching style episodes, then 50% of them sign up for whatever. But that's going to depend on the niche that you're in, your pricing, all that stuff. So
Mhm.
anyway, but I really like this. I think this is a valid use of your time for a lot of reasons, and it's going to help you build that community to client bridge. So you feeling good about this? We
Yeah.
check this box off. Okay, let's go to the next thing that I wanted to cover today.
Okay.
Uh, Email list building and lead magnets. Give me an update on where we're at currently on that. Do we have a lead magnet? Are we doing any sort of emailing or email list building?
Mhm. I created like a Google form for people to input their email. I just don't have a lead magnet. Well, I guess my lead magnet is posting it on my stories, and kind of like doing the call to action to sign up. I haven't been that successful with it, so I'm definitely open to other avenues to get that going.
Okay. So are you emailing your list regularly? Are you doing like a newsletter each week or anything like that?
So I don't even have any emails to
Okay.
send to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. That's what I was looking at. Okay. So let's look at lead magnet first. And I am on a hot streak with help with, convincing people to create lead magnets in the personal development space that are scorecards. I've done a few podcast audits with people in the recovery space, therapy space, because now people are doing it because I'm telling them to do it, but very few people in your space are gamifying personal growth, mindfulness, self-improvement. So like I've got my podcast growth scorecard, which I gamify podcast marketing. So it's like if you post a video on Instagram, 3 points. If you get interviewed on someone else's podcast, 5 points. And I tell people to shoot for 40 points a week and their podcast will grow. You can do the same thing in your space, but you gamify it and go, okay, you journaled today, 3 points. You meditated, 1 point per minute of meditation. You expressed your feelings to somebody outside of your family, 10 points. You did something nice for someone else. And you can even like define those. You wrote somebody a note, you send a nice text, you like all these. I mean, heck, it's the shots of Serenity podcast, all these like little shots of positivity and serenity and positive mojo. Just gamify that and if you can come up with at least like 10 to 15 quantifiable point, action steps, you've got a scorecard. And people love scorecards because all of a sudden they're not just meditating. Like anytime that we're scored and we can see something improve, we want to see the score go up. Like, wow, I meditated 5 minutes. I can meditate for 10 minutes. No problem. I get extra points because Jasmine says I need to get X amount of points as a goal each week or whatever. So this is a nice little lead magnet. I just created a Google sheet. I've got a full episode that I'll send you on. I'd break down that whole thing, and you could definitely do this and have it knocked out, no problem. But with building our email list, when people are just like, hey, join my email list, that usually doesn't work because that just is like, I don't know. It's just like joining a Facebook group. Like, I don't want to join any more Facebook groups, and I don't want to just join someone's email list to like, I've got enough emails, and that's the view. But if you're like, the price of admission is your email to get this scorecard, and here's what we're going to accomplish with this scorecard. And then you kind of use that scorecard as the sponsored element of your show, that call to action for 8, 10, 12 episodes in a row. Hit this link to get my Serenity scorecard or whatever. And all of a sudden we're gamifying self-improvement. We're gamifying mindfulness and meditation. It's time to get serious and have some fun along the way with your self-improvement journey. And I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do. And I'll give you a goal each week on how many points I want you to score, all that. And all of a sudden now they're doing a thing, and we can attach a little email journey that goes along with that. So what I would do if I were you, I'd create the scorecard, aim for 10 to 15 quantifiable action steps. Think about the score, the points, and all that stuff a little bit. Make sure everything's like you want it weighted. So for the things that you feel are like, these are 5-point items and this one's a 1-point item. So you want some variation there. And then maybe get a test group of friends, colleagues, clients, family, 10, 15 people, and go, hey, I need you to do this for a week. Just fill this thing out for me for a week. And at the end of the week, give me some feedback. And then that will allow you to set an accurate weekly goal number. So for me, it's 40 points a week in my scorecard. I did a test group. I had the advantage of having an email list. I was like, hey, fill this out. Give me some advice, some feedback. So that's how I came up with that 40-point mark. And so with you, who knows what the points will look like, but then you can give people a goal of whether it's 100 points a week, 10 points a week, 40, 50, whatever, and then go, okay. And then once you establish that first week, try to increase by 10% per week over the next. And so that way it kind of becomes like a 28-day challenge. And maybe you email them over the next 28 days. And we're talking with calls to action about, let's talk about joining my group and all these things. So I really think this could work nicely for you. So any questions about actually making something like that happen?
Yeah, so to clarify, the funnel that I'm using to get this out would be like a call to action on my actual podcast episodes.
Yeah.
Will I also be, do you advise like any content or surrounding it, like on social media or?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, let's talk about getting the word out about this. So
Hmm.
definitely first thing I would do would be drop an episode about it.
Hmm.
100%. It's time to gamify your self-improvement journey. And like that's got some nice SEO to it just in and of itself. And do an episode about it. In the intro and outro, definitely mention links in the show notes, or come up with a nice vanity URL, serenityscorecard.com or whatever, and mention that. And then kind of use that week of episodes. Maybe you post some Instagram reels or TikTok video clips or whatever, audiograms, whatever you want to do. Talk about it, send people to that link. So we get a little bolus of activity of people getting on your list. And then over the next 8 to 12 episodes, I would mention the scorecard. I would sponsor your own episode with a call to action, definitely at the front and the end, with a call to action to download the scorecard, and just really kind of put it out there. And then if you are a guest on other people's podcasts, or if you're collaborating with other people on their platform, that's your call to action. Like we want them to, subscribe to the Shots of Serenity podcast, but also go to Shots of Serenity, Serenity Scorecard or whatever URL, and download my free scorecard. And this is what it's going to do for you, because that's a unique lead magnet that people will remember, especially if you've got some sort of vanity URL or an easy to remember website that you can send people to. So that's kind of the getting it out there strategy. And I would do like an Instagram stories or Facebook stories with a link, and I would drop that in there weekly. And what I did when I first launched it, I would do a little reel video of me entering my score for the week and just screen share that. And then I'd make that into a reel and be like, wondering what this is all about. Click the link in my bio or wherever it's at, send them to the URL, and just stir it up. Because right now, like your goal is like, I want to get 100 people on this email list. And then when we get 500, then when we get your 1,000 true fans. And that's kind of the nice natural progression. So we just start cranking this thing out there, and you should be able to hit some of those marks. And all of a sudden, and then obviously having an email funnel that kind of spills off of that. What I would do to create that in just a kind of a short, easy way is maybe create like a 10 email funnel. And usually the first email is going to be how to use the scorecard, what the scoring means, why certain things have certain points. So it's just kind of like an explainer. And then the other 9-ish emails, think about the top 7, 8, 9 episodes that you would love your podcast listeners to consume. Like if you could pick 9 episodes for them to binge on to get them hooked, okay, come up all those topics. Those need to be the topics of the 9 emails, and just give them a little appetizer. Hey, I'm checking in. Did you know that blah, 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 blah about meditation, journaling, whatever. If you want to dive a little bit deeper, check out this episode. So not only are we emailing them and delivering a little bit of bite-sized value, if they want to go deeper, check out the full episode. So now they're binging on your top episodes. That's an easy way to kind of control the narrative with your email funnel. And then I think you should have 1 or 2 of those emails mixed in there. So maybe it's a 12 email funnel total, where you are just talking about like doing a discovery call or talking about working together. And that way, and definitely the last one, it's like, if you've gone through all this and you're feeling X, Y, and Z, you're ready for the next step. Here's what I've got for you. Mention your group coaching, and or mention, let's do a discovery chat to talk about working together. So that's kind of the general flow. How's that sound, and how's that feeling?
Yeah, it all sounds really good. It sounds doable. It doesn't feel overwhelming. Like I can really see myself putting my time and energy into curating these things and being excited to come back and let you know how great it turned out.
Yes. Yeah. I want to get one of those emails from you. It's like, just made my first coaching episode or got my first client from a coaching episode or whatever. So you better email me with some results here, Jasmine. I'm going to hold you to it.
I sure will.
All right, cool. So we're wrapping up our time here. I want to make sure that people know how to connect with you. So where do you hang out on social? What's the website? How do people connect?
Yeah, so right now I'm on Instagram at shotsofserenity_, and you can find on Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen to podcasts at Shots of Serenity. The title extension will be coming. And those are the two ways that you can connect with me at this time.
Outstanding. All right, Jasmine, I appreciate you being here. Look forward to your results from taking actions. I can tell you're an action taker because you're one of my podcast listeners. So that's a good thing. Now, everybody out there listening in, if you want to be just like Jasmine, do a podcast audit, I've added several time slots to my summer podcast audit calendar. Get on that calendar. You can get on much faster right now. I will not be doing any podcast audits the fourth quarter of the year. So hop on there. I'm doing them now. Hop on the calendar. If you've been waiting and waiting and waiting, stop waiting and procrastinating or podcrastinating. And let's get down here and do a podcast audit. Just head on over to my website, podcastingbusiness.school. Get on the calendar. And with that, Pod Pals, it's time to close out and send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We will see you next time.
Bye.